Mayor Tommy Battle is dedicated to creating jobs and diversifying Huntsville's economic base. He enlisted comments from citizens from a comprehensive master plan for the city, which was named the Big Plan, that will shape the city for decades to come. This plan has resulted in Huntsville being declared #2 only this year, and I think it was #1 last year, as the best place to live in the United States by U.S. News and World Report. He works with state legislators and U.S. Congress members to secure the future of Huntsville. He maintains a balanced budget and a AAA credit rating for Huntsville.
Wow.
Okay? Under his guidance, he has brought Huntsville to become the largest city in the state. And as he says about Huntsville, it's the star of Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen,
Jody, thank you. Which one am I going to talk to?
Here we go. Okay.
Thank you so much, and listen, thank you for having me out to speak to you today, because there's always fun things happening in the city of Huntsville, and as we go through them, it's, I was sitting here thinking about when I was going to speak to you. I was thinking about what I was going to talk about, and I think one of the most important things is to remember that the success of Huntsville has been because we have offered opportunity, and we have offered opportunity to everyone, and that's kind of a key. That's a key to what we do and what we do on a daily basis. You know, we look way back into the history of Huntsville. Started in 1819, we wrote the Constitution, and we were the first capital of the state of Alabama. What we didn't realize at that point, with being the first capital of the state of Alabama, being a capital, it also came with the legislators. And 130 of those legislators would come in every year and spend about 4 months in your city. And back in that day, it was a pretty rowdy crowd. We kind of decided that it might be a good thing if the capital went to Cahaba, and then it went to Tuscaloosa, then it ended up going to Montgomery. But we were kind of a sleepy agricultural town. We were watercress capital of the world. We were a cotton capital. Later became Cotton King, and then we became a mill town. And we took that cotton and made it into bulk goods, and we became a mill town. And that was all the way through the 1870s, 1880s. We were a town of about 8,000 people at that point. In the 1900s, we were still a mill town, a cotton town, agricultural area. 1950, our world changed. And in 1949, 1950, Operation Paperclip happened. We ended up with German scientists, 1,600 of them, coming to Huntsville, Alabama, and coming to work on rockets. And they started working on rockets in the American rocket program. And as they worked on that American rocket program, we had a huge influx of people coming in. By 1980, we were sitting at 180,000 people. When today we're sitting at 225,000 people. So we've grown 45,000 people over the last 40 years, about 1,000 a year, 1,200 a year, something like that. But as we've done that, we've been able to make sure that everybody is part of what we call the Huntsville success. 15 years ago, when I was first elected mayor, we would have, we had a problem. We had some great entry-level jobs. Entry-level hospitality industry, landscaping, et cetera, great entry-level jobs. And we had some great jobs on the upper end, which were rocket scientists and engineers and people who were working in the tech fields and everything, working out at Research Park. But we didn't have that middle section in there. We didn't have that middle income area, so the young person who came out of high school and wasn't going to be a rocket engineer, wanted to do something else. They wanted to just go right into the workforce and do something. They were stuck with the entry-level jobs. They didn't have something that they could come to where they could make enough of a living to raise a family on, put food on the table, put a roof over their house, a roof over their head. And so we started We started 13 years ago working on bringing in advanced manufacturing jobs. Advanced manufacturing is what has helped us fill that middle gap in there. We brought in, the first one we brought in was Remington, which lasted about 6 years, gave us 600 jobs a year for about 6 years, so it worked out very well. The second one that came in was GE Aviation. Then came Polaris, 2,000 jobs, $130 million worth of investment. Then came Airjet Rocketdyne, where they made their rocket shop up in North Huntsville. And you know, besides the Toyota motor manufacturing, it was the first jobs that we'd had in North Huntsville in a long time. And those jobs came in and they paid a decent wage, $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year. And for young people coming straight out of school. And then we brought in GE Aviation, and finally Amazon, and then Mazda Toyota. Mazda Toyota had an impact on us that will be felt generations through the next several generations. Mazda Toyota, 4,000 jobs, $2 billion worth of investment, and they have 17 suppliers that are surrounding them, which is another 2,400 jobs. So 6,400 jobs, all in that $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year range, which all of a sudden takes us as a city and fills that gap in the middle. Now, I used to have 12, 13 years ago, I would go up to our lower economic areas where our lower economic group lived. I'd go there and they'd say, we don't have jobs. We don't have retail. We don't have good schools. We don't have this. And we would hear that, and you know, and quite frankly, they were right. Today, you don't hear that same thing. Because everybody here, we have 1.6% unemployment. 3% is your normal unemployment just for transition. We have 1.6% unemployment. Everybody has a chance to be part of the success of what Huntsville is. Everybody has opportunity out there. If you want a job, you can go out right now to Mazda Toyota. You don't even have to have a high school degree. If you have GED, you can get a job there starting at $40,000 a year. It's tough work, but it's a good job and a good paying job, and it's something that's helped our community. So as we came in and we brought on advanced manufacturing, we filled a gap. And we filled a gap that was an opportunity gap, but it was also a gap to make sure that everybody was part of our success. And as we filled that, all of a sudden we found ourselves, one of the biggest things that we had to work on was workforce development. And workforce development just means that we've got to bring in workers into the area, because we have, quite frankly, we had more jobs than we had people to fill them. So we started working on workforce development, and workforce development meant going out to different areas where they had some high unemployment, and saying, hey, you have opportunity right here in Huntsville, and you can come here. And because of that, we've had growth. Last year we grew by 3,600 people. And we planned for growth. If you're a city and you're not growing, you're dying. And that's just a simple fact. So we watched that, and we planned for growth. And each year we grow, as I said, in the 1980s, we were sitting about 180,000 people. Today we're 225. So we've grown by about 1,200 people a year. The last couple of years we've grown by 4,000, 3,600. This year we're on track for about another 3,000. But as we grow, we're able to give more offerings to people. When we had the retail, when I first came into office, we went out and we did a big poll out throughout the community and let everybody kind of fill in what they wanted. And the late Mrs. Battle would tell me every day I go to work, she said, okay, you go to work and you bring me a Trader Joe's, I want a Cheesecake Factory, and I want a Macy's. And so before she died, we got Trader Joe's and we got Cheesecake Factory. But we never got the Macy's, and we're still working on that one. But it was interesting. If we hadn't had growth, we wouldn't have had that. If we hadn't had growth, we wouldn't have Amerigo happening down on South Parkway. If we didn't have growth, we wouldn't have a new amphitheater, a new baseball, or a new stadium for soccer. We wouldn't have a AA baseball team. If we didn't have growth, we wouldn't be able to do the greenways and the parks and all that stuff that is quality of life that makes someone want to be a part of our community. So we purposely set out that we were going to fill that middle gap. And we filled that middle gap and did a really good job with it. In fact, we did such a good job that we had to bring in more people. But now we have pivoted. About 3 years ago, we started pivoting back and went back to the one who brought us to the dance: aerospace, engineering, technology. Many people don't realize that Research Park is the second largest research park in America, the fourth largest in the world. Wow, that is something to say. 28,000 people are employed there. But then a lot of people don't realize what's behind those gates. I remember, like Ms. Battle used to say, she was talking about, she'd be driving along with her mama, and she'd say, "Mama, look at those gates over there, look at those fences." I said, "What's behind there?" And her mom was from Gallatin, Tennessee, and she said, "If they wanted you to know, they wouldn't have gates there." So she'd go on down the road. The first time that she ever got to go behind those gates and to see what was behind there was after I was elected mayor, and one of the generals brought the spouses of the mayor of Huntsville, Mayor Madison, and the chairman of the county commission out, and to show them what was on the arsenal. And to be honest, I had never been behind the gates until I was elected mayor. I mean, I think I'd been behind the gates once or twice, but I didn't know what was back there. And I didn't realize the capacity or the impact that had on our community. Just think about it. 45,000 people work on Redstone Arsenal. Over 77 agencies. We talk about Redstone Arsenal, and we really talk about it as being a federal center of excellence. A federal center of excellence where we have some of the best and brightest who are working for the American government right now. We have them in areas like the FBI, which is going to grow to 5,500 people working at Redstone Arsenal within the next 5 years. We have them like Army Material Command, where we have a 4-star general there. And when the 4-star general came here, we didn't realize the impact that a 4-star general would have on our community. We didn't realize the impact that there was only 14 4-star generals in the whole United States or in the whole world. And those 4-star generals basically ran all the programs that were happening with the Army. And we didn't realize how big Army Material Command was and how many people they had across the globe. Army Aviation. Army Aviation moved here from St. Louis about 20 years ago, and Army Aviation is everything that flies in the Army. And what the little fact that we've learned is that there are more pieces of flying machinery in the Army than there is in the Air Force. So it's an interesting thing to watch that. Missile Defense Agency is a purple agency. It's not an Army agency, it's not a Navy, it's not an Air Force, it's a combined forces agency. Missile Defense Agency tracks the missile defense for America on a day-to-day basis. Space and Missile Defense Command is an Army command, and it sits and tracks our space assets. What's up in space, where it is, who owns it, and is it a threat to America? And it's done right there on Redstone Arsenal. You look at that, NASA, Marshall Space Flight Center on NASA. 7,000 people are employed by NASA. And those 7,000 people are the same people, maybe the next generation of people, who did the Saturn program and put man on the moon and brought them back. And we did the propulsion systems for those rockets that put man on the moon. We just had a geospatial group in town, or they're in town today and tomorrow too. And they had dinner last night underneath those rockets out at Space and Rocket Center. And you look up at those big rockets and you think, wow, that's amazing that those were designed right here. Much of the parts were built right here. And that took man to the moon and brought us back. We've been through Skylab, Space Lab. We've been through Space Station. We've seen the shuttle come through. In every one of them, Huntsville has its fingerprints on. Huntsville Marshall Space Flight Center is part of the history that's been written about what we do in space, how we go into space. Everything that's being done right now, even Space Station, is what they call LEO. And I learned this by listening and nodding a whole lot, because that's what mayors do. They get into these big high-level subjects that we don't understand at all, but we look like we've eaten persimmons and we nod real seriously, like, yes, so we understand. And as that happens, we kind of get, they give us a little primers on some of this. But everything that's up there right now has been in low Earth orbit, LEO, low Earth orbit. And that includes the space station. we're talking about going back into deep space. And that's what we're building the SLS rocket for, is to take us back into deep space. Take us back to the moon and take us around the moon and bring us back. And then we've got to figure out another propulsion system, because if we wanted to go to Mars, it's going to be 3 years to travel to Mars and 3 years to come back. And the radiation is going to end up killing whoever is on there. So we've got to find a bigger, better way to get there, and a faster way to get there, a way to get there and get back. And we're looking at all kinds of different ideas on how to build rocket engines and propulsion engines that can take us to Mars and get us back quickly so that we can have that next generation. Why go to Mars? Because we have to continue exploring. We have to continue exploring for mankind. We have to continue to have the chance to look at where mankind can expand to. This earth is a great place, and we have done a good job with it, but we have things in the future that we have to do. And a lot of those things are being done right here through Huntsville, Alabama. Hudson Alpha Institute. How many have been out to Hudson Alpha? I see a good many hands up. Hudson Alpha is a genomic center, brought here 15 years ago. Brought here 15 years ago. Rick Myers and his team from Stanford came in, and they were mapping the human genome. And they got finished mapping the human genome, and back in that days, it was millions upon millions of dollars to turn out the first map of the human genome. And today they do it for $6,200 because of advances in technology and because of studies that have been done from right here. We have the first genetic medicine clinic here, where somebody who's sick and they go in there and they say, I can't figure this out. They test their genetics, and as they test their genetics, they find out you got an X chromosome that's cranked here, or a Y chromosome that's cranked here, and there's an answer to it, and we can work with you on that. And we've seen this happening. They do cancer research, which says if you got certain markers, this is your treatment that you should do. And as you do this treatment, we've found much better success with doing this treatment than doing anything else if you have certain markers. All that's being done right here in Huntsville. It makes you proud. It makes you proud of your city and the intelligence and the intelligence quotient that we have. One of the things that when we started doing all this recruiting industry coming into Huntsville, they came up, and one day we were sitting down with some consultants, and they said, you have a very high engineering quotient. And I said, of course we do. It looked like I'd eaten persimmons, and I was nodding again. And afterwards they said, no, it means that you have the highest percentage of engineers and degree professionals than anywhere else in the U.S. And if you want to bring in a smart crowd to come in and be part of your smart crowd, that's what you have to have. We have to continue to make sure that we have great education systems. We got to continue to make sure that we have great 2-year colleges, that we have great 4-year colleges. We've got to make sure that we continue to attract the best and the brightest. If we attract the best and the brightest, we're going to continue to grow on that measured pace and make it. And I really want to be clear. We want to make sure that we grow on a measured pace. We're looking at 3,000 to 4,000 people a year, maybe 4,500 on a huge year, but we're looking at 3,000 to 4,000 people a year. And if we grow on that pace, and we continue to grow our infrastructure as we grow our population, then the sky is not the limit. We can go as far as we want to. We'll always be the star of Alabama. Huntsville is the only growing major metropolitan area in the state of Alabama. When I first came in as mayor, we were number 4. We were the 4th largest city in the state. Today, we're the largest city in the state. And we've grown because of attracting the best and the brightest. We've grown because we've had those people come here and be part of our community. And those are the young people who come in and they find a new design on a widget, and they say, if we do this, we can do it like this. And then they start producing that widget. Then they need workers. Then they make up a company. And then they become part of our economy. And they add to our economy. Huntsville is we are very fortunate. We have some people here, and it's people that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis who are far looking and look far into the future. Back in 2012, we had we did a retail audit on our area. 54% of our money, of the income that comes into the city of Huntsville comes from the sales tax. So it's very important that we keep sales tax coming in. So we had a retail audit done, and then the retail audit came through and they looked at different areas of town and said, you're very good over here, you've got growth potential over here, and you have potential here, you've got something over here. But when they came to 72 quarter, they looked at it and said, you know, you've got a great regional retail center, and that whole corridor is your regional retail corridor. Except for you got one problem. You got Madison Square Mall right in the middle of it. And they said Madison Square Mall is on the list of deadmalls.com. Now, I didn't even know they had a deadmalls.com list, but I looked at it, and sure enough, there was Madison Square Mall right there. And Madison Square Mall was in like retail ground zero right there. So we looked at it and we said, we started thinking about what can we do. We took a trip out to see JCPenney out in Dallas, Texas, and we teamed with the development team and started talking about what we could do with that property. There's 110 acres in there. And at the time that we were talking to them, that 110 acres was producing about $12,000 worth of taxes per year. $12,000. And so we started looking at what we could do and imagining how many retail shops we could put in, what the retail shops could be put in, what the residential could be put in there, what the multifamily could be coming in, what restaurants might want to locate there, what places where people would want to do things like Top Golf and Dave & Buster's might want to come in. And we started looking at it and we started modeling it, and we said, you know, if we model this and we do it right, we're going to have about $20 to $25 million a year coming in. So we said this will be a good project to partner with, and to partner with the development team. So we got with the development team, we went out to Dallas, we went to see JCPenney because they were one of the 5 owners. It was JCPenney, JCPenney and 4 others who were the owners. And we went to see JCPenney and we said, we love having y'all in our community. We'd like to help you relocate somewhere else, but we need you to move from where you are. And they looked at me and they said, you know, we've never heard that from a community before. And the guys from RCP said, and I don't remember saying it, but they said, and you looked at them and said, well, there's a first time for everything. And we had the conversation with them and said, your sales are nothing there. You're not making money. You have problems. You have a signature problem with that whole mall. And we're going to turn it into something that is an asset for the city. And we were able to talk to them. We were able to buy their property and the other 4 properties, put them together and do an urban development there. And we were able to get Topgolf to come in, Trader Joe's to come in, Dave & Buster's to come in, Wahlburgers to come in. We were able to put the Ryan Amphitheater, which is a perfect thing, to come in there. And the Ryan Amphitheater came after doing a music study. We paid $120,000 to come in and do a music audit, music study on our community. And I said, are y'all kidding me? We're going to spend that kind of money? He said, no. That is something, if you look at the success of what Austin, Texas has had, what Nashville, Tennessee has had, what Asheville in the Carolinas has had, you know the importance of music, what music can do for you. And so we started thinking about it, and we had the music audit. Out of the music audit, we got a music commission. Out of the music commission, we got a music officer. And then at the same time, we were building the Orion, and we built Mars Music Hall down off the Civic Center, which would hold about 1,000 young people, only young people, because they have to stand the whole time as they watch that, and I'm not going to stand the whole time. But we did that, and we did it for a special purpose, for a reason. It was part of our part of our plan, part of our strategy. We did it because we thought we need to change the conversation about Huntsville. We would have, say Leidos, go to somebody out in Spokane, Washington, and say, hey, listen, we want you to come to Huntsville, Alabama. They go home and see their spouse, and they said, honey, and this was probably 12, 15 years ago, honey, we got a chance to go to Huntsville, Alabama, and I got a good job, and I got a promotion. And they'd look at their spouse, and they'd say Huntsville with 1 question mark, and then they'd say Alabama and have 3 question marks on it. And they said, what is that community? And they Google and everything else, and if we could get them to come here, we could capture them because it's just such a great place. Once we get them here, we can't get rid of them. But the interesting thing is that today they hear, hey, honey, we got a chance to go to Huntsville, Alabama. And they say, Huntsville, oh yeah, that's where Stevie Nicks played on Halloween night. And I'd love to go hear Stevie Nicks. That's where Josh Grogan just played a couple of months ago. I'd love to go hear Josh Grogan. That's where Weezer played Sunday night. Now Henry, who's my young millennial, he was wanting to go see Weezer, and we were on a trip. We were down in Montgomery telling our story and coming back, and he said, "I'm going to go see Weezer." I said, "Are you going to go see Geezer?" And he said, "No, it's Weezer. It's a great band." And so I get education every day on this music thing. But what the music thing did for us was it changed that conversation. When you start talking about Nashville, you don't talk about Nashville, Tennessee. When you start talking about Austin, you don't talk about Austin, Texas. When you talk about Asheville, you're really not Asheville in the Carolinas. You're talking about a city, a place that has earned its name and has become something. So we started in back years ago, did the music audit, did the music commission, got the music officer. We started building an amphitheater. I asked our crew, I said, well, how much does an amphitheater cost to build? We're going to spend $12, $13 million. I said, no, way north of that. And I said, why are we doing that? I said, if we're not going to do the best, we don't need to even be in the market. We don't even need to try. We're going to build something that will rival Red Rock in Denver, and we compete with Denver. We compete with Colorado Springs quite a bit, but we compete with people in Colorado. If we don't build a place that's better than the Coliseum in LA, then we have missed our mark, and we compete with them on a regular basis. And we built one of the best and brightest. We built a facility, and how many have been out to Orion here? Okay, we built a facility that is second to none. And when you go out there and you have that experience and you see the food trucks and you see the places to eat, and you go in and sit in there and listen to the music, and it's a Halloween night, and you get to hear one of the old stars that you really loved hearing, and she never misses a beat. And then she talks great things about your community and how important it is to have a place like this and why that this is one of the best she's ever seen. It does something for your community. So we have always tried to keep a competitive edge. Our competitive edge for the city of Huntsville is second largest research park in America. Our competitive edge is Redstone Arsenal. Our competitive edge is Marshall Space Flight Center. Our competitive edge is more engineers and degree professionals per capita than anywhere else in the U.S. Our competitive edge is we have an 18 to 20 minute commute to and from work, average. Let me say average there. And as we tell that story, and we go across the U.S. and go to other places. I'm going to, in 2 weeks, we go to Paris for the Paris Air Show. And we'll sit down 6 times a day and tell that story. And then at nights, we'll be with some of those industries and we'll tell the story again. As we tell that story 6 times, 7 times a day, we have people who say, wow, that's a great community. I want to look at that. If we're going to expand, why don't we expand in Huntsville? If we're gonna set up a new shop and something new, why don't we get the best and brightest? And we know where we can find the best and brightest. That'll be Huntsville, Alabama. Those are the people that we're trying to attract and we're trying to get to. Because if we get to them, we offer opportunity to everybody. We offer opportunity to my son. We offer opportunity to your neighbors' children. We offer opportunity to your grandkids and your kids. When I first got into this job, I guess it was about 5 years ago. No, gosh, it's been 10 years ago. We'd gotten in, and my son had gone to university, he'd gone to university, got a degree in finance. He got finished with his degree in finance. And I said, son, are you gonna come home? We got a lot of banks here. You know, you're gonna be a banker. Come here. He said, oh, no, Dad, I'm going to the big city. I said, okay, young people all need to go to the big city. That's good. So he goes off to the big city, and after about 6 years, he calls me and he says, Dad, you know, y'all grown some in Huntsville. I said, yeah, we have. And he said, Mr. Nast is opening a new bank in Huntsville named Progress, and they've asked me to come run their branch in Jones Valley. And he said, I think I'm coming home. Now, if there's magic words that you've ever heard in your life, is when your kids say, I think I'm coming home. And when they come home and they become part of a community, and he found a wife here, we have two grandchildren, forget the kids now, the grandchildren are more important than the kids. But when they do that, and then they're part of this society that is, they've taken the opportunity that we provided and they've made it into a success. When you see that, you say the whole picture's come about. We've been able to do what we're supposed to do. That's what we try to do on a day-to-day basis. We had a strategy, we had a plan. When we started 15 years ago, we had a strategy and a plan and wanted to move forward. And that strategy and plan has paid off and has done very well for us. We've got to keep working on that strategy and plan. We have to tweak it every once in a while. We have to change it, just like we were in advanced manufacturing. We tweaked it to go back to aerospace and engineering. That plan always needs to be tweaked in certain ways, but you have to watch it. You have to be very careful. You have to listen to your constituents. You have to see what the world conditions are and try to make sure that you have a strategy and plan that is made for the success of tomorrow. And I think we do. We're going to continue to work on that picture of success, which is Huntsville, and we're going to continue to make Huntsville grow. We're going to continue to offer opportunity to those young people, to others, to everybody who wants to come here and be part of what we call Huntsville success. And that will be the magic of what we can do. We always say the sky's not the limit. Huntsville, a smart place, but really it is. The truth is that we are the star of Alabama and probably the star of the Southeast. When you get the #1 ranking in U.S. News and World Report, which we had last year, we got the #2 ranking this year in U.S. News and World Report. We were second to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I guarantee you they didn't go visit Green Bay during the winter. But when you get those kind of rankings, it validates what you've done. It validates where we are. It validates the strategy and plan that we have. And we're going to keep on working on that and make sure that this is a great place. Thank y'all for having me out.
Time for a
And
question.
you told my, in a minute.
You have time for a question?
In a minute. And be patient,
I
Doug.
couldn't hear you.
I want to talk a minute. I have been quiet for a long time.
Just have your seat, just think.
You told my story.
What
The
a
son story, that was my story. My son graduated from Bob Jones, went to Auburn. When he graduated from Auburn, oh, Mom, I want to go, he's an architect, I want to go to Chicago, I want to go to Boston, I want to go. So I said, son, have you checked out the cost of living? Oh, it'll be fine. So he got an internship. And then he ended up in Montgomery. And then one day we got a call. And part of it was because he and his wife were expecting a baby and they needed to be back in town close to Mama, but that was beside the point. Mom, I think we want to come back home. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, Huntsville's got a lot to offer. I said, I've been telling you. And in these years, they've been back now 5 years. And in these years, they've built a life here. It's for everybody. There is something here for everybody. All the entertainment, for a long time, the big deal was, well, there's nothing here for young people to do. Well, now there's more stuff here for young people to do than they can do. It is, you've just done a really good job.
Thank you. And Tommy, I wanted to mention to you when we were seated, and I forgot to, this is the largest Republican Women's Club in Alabama, and we're very proud of it. And we're glad to have you here to speak to us today. Tommy and I go way back to the days when he brought in the first restaurant where you go in and go through the line cafeteria. Brittany,
Yeah.
what year was that, Tommy?
1980.
That's when we all started, way back when. My question is regarding Governor's Drive. We did it Governor's Bend, which you know where that is, near the top of the mountain. And with the expansive growth out west, east of the mountain, I've read and I know that traffic on Governor's Drive has gotten very, very heavy. What's our solution for that road-wise? I know we have some other routes, but how big a problem is that for the city?
Good question. I look at that traffic every morning as I get up. I live on Big Cove, one lot over from the Governor's, and there's nothing on there to keep me from watching all the traffic as it comes in. And you know, if you remember, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, we did Cecil Ashburn. We did 4-lane Cecil Ashburn. It's kind of a relief valve for Governors, and let the people come in who were going to go to South Arsenal or south end of town. They could go over Cecil Ashburn and come in. We're doing the same thing, and we're several years out, but doing that also on the eastern bypass, taking the eastern bypass to 72 where you can come straight in. As you come straight in, we're also part of our Restore Plan, Restore Roads 2 plan, is to take that from Shields Road all the way to 565, and you'll miss all of those traffic lights in there, and you'll be able to get in and out quicker. Coming on 72, coming in across there, it will be an elevated roadway system that's coming in. We're working with the state on it. State is not always the fastest, but they do have a little bit of money, and we're pushing them saying, we'll put our money in if you'll put your money in so that we can get priority on those projects. And those projects are what's going to help us take some of that traffic off of Governor's Drive that's coming in every day.
Okay, next thing.
Next.
Okay, yes, yeah, I'm just gonna do this while you're up here.
Okay.
Okay, the AFRW biennial convention is in Huntsville this year. So it's all the women's clubs from across the country, from Alabama. We're doing it at the Embassy Suites, and we would really like for you to come and welcome people to Huntsville.
Good.
Would you do that?
I do that about every day. We get
Well,
to
no,
We're gonna do that.
Terry, y'all are special. I don't normally do that, but I'll do it for y'all.
I'll do it for y'all.
There you go.
Y'all-
That's what you say to make us feel good. Okay? Okay, thank you. We'll give you the dates and times.
Tell me when.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Baker.
Great.
Okay, next thing. That was a little snippet about our convention. The dates are November 28th through December 1st. We're downtown at the Embassy Suites. So that means you can either come and stay and leave your house and your family home, or you can go home at night. It's up to you. But we'll have a couple of suites there for our club and that kind of thing. It's going to be a great time and a great advertisement for our city. So this is the first time they've been here in a long time. So it'll be I can't wait. So that's a good thing. Next thing, Linda Talon is heading up our SMD volunteers for the SMD Symposium. And if you are interested in helping her, she's right over there. Linda, stand up, darling. I can't see you. There she is. Okay, and the next thing is scholarship update. All right, y'all, we give these two scholarships, two $500 scholarships. We have had 4 people apply. We were going to give them out next month. If you have a grandson or a granddaughter or someone that's affiliated with a club or somebody that you just think deserves something, have them fill out an application, and we'll vet them, and they can possibly win scholarship. There's some applications on the front table. So grab one as you leave if you want to. They're also online, and I'll send it out again in an email, so you'll have those. So, y'all, thank you. Next month, we're a week late. We're July the 11th here. And maybe we had, Stella and I had a little different lunch today. And so we had chicken piccata, which was really, really, really good. So we may get to have that next month. We'll see it. So Anyway, thank you all. Have a great rest of the day, and we are adjourned.